Hi guys, good morning, and where's my bloody cup of tea? Shit, forgot to make my cup of tea. So today I want to do a video. I want to talk about something that I feel is incredibly important, big. God, I hate this shit. When I sit down, right, ready to do a video, I never script anything because I know that it will just come to me and it will just flow. But you know, it's like, the words, you know, where are they? Where's my vocabulary gone? Oh, lordy. The topic is religion, basically, people, religion. Now, first and foremost, there's a lot of people in the secular societies of the Western Hemisphere that think religion no longer impacts on their psyche or on their society in any way. They think that religion only impacts societies like, say, the Yemen or Saudi Arabia, which are basically religious dictatorships. But they're very, very wrong, actually. Religion is very similar to the energetic implants that I was talking about in my last video, in fact yesterday. That is what religion is. Once these things are in place, they won't dislodge, not just like that. We have to first of all be aware that we have these imprints, these implants, these traps going on, and for that we need to awaken to quite a high level, really. So people that are not awake and aware at all will habitually, insidiously be under the influence of this religious programming. Now, you go back, say, 100 years, 80% of all the people, 90% of all the people on the planet were believers, if you know what I mean. They went to church, they went to the mosque, they went to the temple, they went here, they went there, but they were religious. We were all religious. Our ancestors, our grandparents, our great-grandparents were religious one way or another. Then people pipe up and say, oh, but Buddhism is okay. Buddhism is a good religion. And I say to that, no, it isn't, actually. I used to be a Buddhist, not for very long. I worked out it was a pile of shit. A religion that tells you that all life is suffering, that you came here to suffer, that is what it's all about, and that through that suffering, over and over and over and over and over again, you will finally reach nirvana, is a trap. That, in essence, is exactly the same as in Christianity, where you have to suffer and suffer and suffer. This is the cross we must bear because you're sinful and because you're bad, and the suffering somehow makes you worthy to attain heaven. Right? It's exactly the same thing. All religions, you go to Hinduism, for example. Hinduism is all made up of this caste system with the Brahmins at the very top and the untouchables at the sutra at the very bottom. And it's all based on how good a person you were in your past life. And based on that, you are reborn in any of these castes. It's all utter nonsense because, I mean, the way people treat each other in India actually is utterly disgusting. The way the so-called untouchable people are being treated is utterly horrendous. And the state of affairs in India, where girl babies are infanticide, is rife. The treatment of women is utterly horrific. There was a terrible rape that happened, I think, in 2016, I'm not quite sure. They did a film about it, which is a case in point. If you look at Saudi Arabia, you look at the Yemen, I mean, the people are actively encouraged to inbreed. First cousins marry and procreate habitually. Poverty, stupidity, ignorance, right? It's very obvious there. Iran, exactly the same. But you come over to, the more secular West and you think, well, we've put that behind us. Well, we haven't. Religious programming, imprinting, is still very much alive. How do I know that? Well, I know that from personal experience. Yes, I did grow up in a rabidly born-again Christian household, but my friend has not, and he suffers from Christian programming. The whole feel of it, I'll try and put it in a nutshell. I actively encourage people to critically think about this topic for themselves and work out where and how it has affected each and every one of you. Whether you came from a secular household or a religious household, doesn't really matter. Just look at how has this affected me. You know, that is what I encourage people to do. The way it has affected me, and I see this reverberate around me, in fact I see other people in the world as well who really, right, the concept is that you're born in sin, you're sinful. So having sex is sinful, right? So what we do to procreate is, God says, sinful. So you're then born in sin, and from that point you have to somehow earn your redemption. You do that by accepting this guy who stupidly allowed himself to be crucified. You know the story anyway of Christianity. The point is, it's all about, you're told that you're sinful, that you're dirty, that you're bad, that you're rotten, and that you are essentially beyond redemption. Because even if you accept Jesus as your personal savior, you're still sinful, right? Now what does that idea, what does that type of imprinting does to a human being's psyche? Being told that you're sinful and that you were born in sin, this, you know, it makes you feel utterly worthless. It makes you feel utterly worthless. The whole idea is that, yes, you are sinful, you are beyond redemption, and you deserve to be punished. God is punishing you because you're bad and because you're sinful, you see. So that then opens the floodgates to all kinds of shit. You manifest shit, misery, suffering. This realm is what I call the eternal death, the eternal decaying realm. It's the charnel house. And it's all because of religion. All because of religious imprinting. Before the religions that we have today, that we are familiar with, we had other religions. Those religions, paganism we call them, we refer to those religions as paganism, but that's just a word, a concept. Those religions practiced, to all intents and purposes, human sacrifice. They did. If you're familiar with your Bible, you know as well that there are the Philistines and various other people who they worship Baal, an entity called Baal, which was represented by a eternally burning fire in which they would throw babies. Human sacrifice was rife, or so we're told at any rate, and I mean there is evidence to that extent anyway. We find bog bodies, for example, all around, say, Holland, Denmark, England, Ireland, you know. This was a religion, the stone circles, etc., etc., that was pretty much global. We have stone circles in Morocco, believe it or not, and Spain and Jordan, places like that. So there seems to have been a worldwide type of religion based on human sacrifice. There is evidence of that in Germany as well. I've talked about this in one of my previous videos. It was an archaeological expedition that uncovered this grid formation where people were living in a kind of camp like Auschwitz. But a very, very long time ago, and there was evidence of human sacrifice there as well. It was very strange. Anyway, so those religions, in essence, were just as bad as the religions that we have now. So whenever people come to me and go, well, I'm a pagan, you know, like these fucking New Age hippies, I tell them to fuck off. I tell them that, okay, are you into human sacrifice? Oh, no. Well, off you go then. You're not a pagan. Fuck off. Don't talk to me. Go away. Because it's bullshit. It's all fucking bullshit. Religion is religion is religion is religion. It doesn't matter what kind of religion it is. It doesn't matter whether it's paganism or Christianity or Buddhism or Hinduism. Whatever it is, it's fucking dirty, disgusting, evil filth. To put it strongly, and it has to be put strongly because it is what it is, people. It is all energetic imprinting. And even in the secular societies, we still have these implants. You know, it's in the nervous system, it's in the endocrine system, it's in our cellular systems, it's in our DNA. Because let's not forget that we inherit our ancestral trauma, right? So that being the case, the trauma incurred through religious imprinting, we inherit. You can go to Ireland. There's a good book if ever you feel like reading more about Ireland. It's Angela's Ashes. It's a fantastic, really good book. It's massively depressing, but it shows you exactly what the Catholic Church has done in Ireland. Angela's Ashes. Or you can look up the Magdalen laundries. You can look that up as well. Ireland was targeted heavily by the Catholic Church. It was, this is what evil does. You know, it's what it does. So now Ireland is becoming more and more and more secular. Do you think that the younger generation in Ireland is free from this? Is it fuck? They're still heavily conditioned. They're still full of I'm a sinner and I'm no good. Not that they think this way consciously, but subconsciously that is still running the show because that is how it works, people. Religion is singularly the biggest, most nefarious, evil tool used against humanity. Religion was the culprit in humanity believing that we have dominion over the earth and that animals don't have any souls, so that we can do whatever we like to the earth. We can use it, abuse it, shit on it, any which way we like. We can do anything we like to animals, rip their skin off their living bodies for our fur coats because, hey, we have dominion over the earth. The entity behind all of this imprinting is the Demiurge. Jehovah, call it what you will. Now, this may be a real entity or it may be a program, a sort of an AI type of programming. I tend to go with the latter, to be fair. I tend to go with the latter. I don't think Jehovah is real as such, but I think the programming, the belief, the system, the imprinting is very fucking real indeed, because it plays out in our everyday life. We live with the insidious fallout of it every fucking day, because people that subconsciously believe they are eternally sinful and that no matter what they do can never really be redeemed, they ergo deserve to be punished, they deserve to suffer, they are guilty, they are shameful. All of this shit is really heavily, you know, it's like our blood, you know, it's like the water in our bodies, it's like everywhere, like a tumor, like a cancerous, disgusting poison. And every single human being on this planet suffers from it to a degree, without a doubt. Even the so-called elite, they're not elite obviously, they're the reverse actually, but with their nefarious ritualistic behaviors, they worship the dark gods, the dark lord, whatever, right? This is exactly the same entity, because this entity is psychopathic. It has multiple personality disorder, but you know, I don't really believe this entity to be real as such. It's a program. We believe it to be true. We're told this is the truth. There is a God that this evil, psychopathic, multi-personality disorder type of insane creature that lords it over all of us. But if you think about it, that's bullshit, because obviously Christianity was invented a certain number of years ago. Before that we had Judaism, and before that we just had paganism. Where was God then, if you think about it? Do you see what I'm saying? You know it's bullshit, because if God was real, if the Demiurge was real, we would have had Christianity or Judaism or whatever forever. It would have instituted that belief system from the get-go. But creation existed and did what it did, and we had all these different types of weird religions. And then all of a sudden we had Judaism, that we had Christianity, we had Muslim, Islam, whatever. So that in itself, if you think about it, doesn't really make sense. So I think it's a kind of AI type of programming. Very, very abusive. If you look at the churches, the Orthodox Church in Russia, woo, boy, scary shit. Do some research on that, people. The Vatican, well, you know what I mean. You know, the Judaism is scary shit, especially the Hasids, scary shit. Very inbred as well. Again, it seems to really actively encourage inbreeding religion. Most religions really fucking do. Of course, because inbreeding makes us weak, genetically inferior, stupid, ignorant, poor, suffering. It's all about inducing suffering. It's all about keeping us trapped on a very low bandwidth. You're sinful, and no matter what you do, you will never redeem yourself. You're guilty, and of course, you become guilty. You experience that programming in your day-to-day life because you're so fucked up, and you're so wounded, and you feel so lost, and you feel so hopeless, and you feel so dirty, and you feel so guilty, and you feel so bad, that all of that reinforces negative behavior. Yes, people that live under constant duress are not going to behave well. Wounded people wound people, animals, nature. I've said this before. So every time that happens, that then reinforces the religious programming. Oh, see, I am sinful, I am bad, I do deserve to be punished. You see the catch-22 of that. Very clever. And that is how these programs tend to really stay into place. So you start to get to a level in your awakening where you realize this. And you think, right, I need to start to release this and forgive myself and find closure. And you'll find that is a real fucker. That's very, very difficult. I find that quite hard as well, as I'm working through the layers of all the programming and all the trauma. I come up against this again and again and again. And with regards to this, all of this, I've really had a kind of shift happening, or it is happening. Yes, something is really bringing it home to me, to my awareness, crystallizing the gnosis pertaining to what this religious programming has actually done to all of us. So some sort of release, some sort of shift is underway with regards to that. Not just, I feel, for me, but for all of us, really. It's about time, because it's kept us trapped for a very long time. It is why we suffer. It is why we feel so powerless. It's why we feel like we're trapped in a corner with our backs against the wall. It's why we accept what I call martyr programming. It reinforces mundane reality. It is responsible directly for mundane reality programming, because religion tells us that this world is real, that we have to suffer, that suffering is good for us, that it purifies us, and that it's somehow, that it's what's the word, that it's heroic to suffer a great deal. And actually I've known people who egotistically went on and on about how much they'd suffered and how good that made them and how much better they were than other people because they'd suffered so much. All this type of shit, it's very sick and very, very twisted. Again, it's very perverse. This is why I know, yet again, that we're dealing with the mind pathogen, the mind virus, which is ultimately what I think it is. AI-ish. But of course it isn't really AI, it isn't really technological. It is, ultimately it's a type of consciousness pathogen that we're dealing with here. But externalized as a kind of AI imprinting programming. It's a complex situation. It's very difficult to put into words. Perhaps the nitty-gritty of it at this moment in time doesn't matter so much. It's the awareness of what it's doing to us that is more important, because that will hopefully, by focusing on that and working through that and processing that, we'll liberate ourselves from it for good. But yes, martyr programming, mundane reality programming, this is all there is, and we have to endure this life and be happy anyway and accept it, and then we die and we get our reward in heaven. People that have had NDEs often enough come back with this type of information that, oh, it's all about love and we must endure and we must love ourselves anyway, and then we'll get a reward in heaven because Jesus taught me so. And that is very nefarious bullshit, because really what that does is it keeps this entire evil shit show going perpetually. And that of course is what it wants, because this is where it lives. So it's very, very clever, very insidious. So we need to wake up to that, get this, see this. We are not powerless martyrs, victims, eternally irredeemable, sinful, guilty, dirty, shameful, trapped, unforgivable, unforgivably cursed, and we'll have to endure the punishment because we deserve it, and then we will get our reward in heaven. It isn't like that at all. However, I believe in grace. I believe in the fact that yes, we have all suffered horrendously here, but through grace, through the wisdom and the personal power that we have within us, we have been able to recover our true self's love, to understand what this realm is, to understand that the power and the magic of love is ultimately what will sort this out. It will. And that is grace. We've learned about compassion, we've learned about empathy. There is a lot to be learned from going through the darkness. There is a lot to be learned from the darkness, for sure, but not in the way that religion would have us believe. That we mutely have to allow ourselves to be abused and punished and gaslighted and manipulated. Oh, I'm a martyr, look at me, I'm so holy. All this fucking bullshit. This is very much not right at all and keeps us eternally trapped. Even whilst we're thinking we're getting out and we're getting somewhere, we're not, because we're stuck in the catch-22 of martyr programming. Oh yes, very clever. So there's a lot to be learned at every level, and for some people that may just be where they need to be, want to be. That's a soul contract. Maybe, I don't really believe in soul contracts, but we do make them. And maybe these people will have to die and come back again, and in that life figure out, get it now, that was a trap. I'm doing that in this life. This life I'm going for reset, because that ultimately I feel is what it's all about. Mundane reality programming is a prison of ultimate limitation. It's a prison where we're taught that we're not good enough, that we're so worthless, we don't deserve to exist at all, and we need salvation. But no matter what we do, no matter how hard we work, somehow salvation is always beyond our reach. That is the trap. So I'm calling that out for what it is. And I say that we do not need salvation, for we are infinite creator beings. And we are infinite unconditional love and creativity. And everything that we have done wrong, we did because we were severely traumatized and severely wounded. All is forgiven. The truth is that we chose to come here and have this experience. So actually forgiveness is neither here nor there. It's superfluous, right? But it seems to be a helpful element at this point in time to tune into the notion of forgiveness, as in the notion of allowing ourselves to let go finally of these beliefs that we are bad, sinful, not worthy, totally worthless and shit and powerless and a victim forever and ever, and God hates us and is going to punish us forever and ever and ever. That is where the healing really has to happen now. That's what's really coming up. I feel in a lot, I can feel it everywhere, in me and all around everywhere. Ooh, big time. I reckon this year, 2020, there's going to be a shitload of info coming up about how dark and evil religion really is. Well, we will see stuff happening in the Yemen, in Saudi Arabia, and also in our own holes of religion. You know, the Church of England, the Vatican, the born-again Christian circuses, you know. These fucking assholes with their shitty hairstyles, man. These people, they have so much money, you know, these televangelists. So much money, so little taste. There they are, you know, with their massive hairstyles and their fucking Gary Larson glasses and their rhinestones and their false eyelashes and their plastic surgery. And people actually go for that shit. It's... For me, I mean, I really have a massive amount of beef with born-again Christianity because it's so obviously asinine filth. Yeah, people can't see it, you know, it's amazing. Because, of course, what fuels it all is fear, deep, deep fear, because you're so worthless, you're so shit, you're so powerless. You're going to go to hell and burn forever and ever and ever, right? And that terrifies the fuck out of people. When you're told that when you're a small child, it terrifies the fuck out of you. I mean, in a massive way. So that is where the imprinting happens. Fear. So I better do whatever. I better bend over backwards and to do whatever to avoid that terrible fate. And that's it. And that fear still resonates in the energy of the descendants. It's there, it's an ancestral thing, and it's all imprinting, implanting, for sure. It's a trap, terrible. So that's got to be seen, understood and acknowledged at this moment in time. And we will see in the world, for sure, I'm sure of it, in the world stage, we will see stuff happening, shifts happening with regards to that. The Orthodox Church in Russia, the Vatican, Islam, you name it, it will pop up, I'm sure of it. I have a feeling, definitely. Because it's all a lie, people. None of it is true at all. There is no sin as such. Sin gives rise to sin. Just like prisons give rise to crime. See? It's a catch-22. It's a paradox. That's also why I know that sticking with the self-punishment and the self-hate and the belief in that evil always wins type of paradigm will just beget more of the same. See? That is ultimately, that is forgiveness. Forgiveness isn't about, oh, well, I was wrong, but I forgive myself. It isn't about that. It's about allowing yourself to let go of all that darkness and say, hey, I love myself. All that shit, all that was an illusion. It was all Maya. It's all imprinting, entrapments. You know, like nebulous, nasty, gaslighty bullshit. I deserve to be free. I recognize that all of that is a lie. I am infinite, unconditional love and creativity. Because that is what we are, people, in a nutshell. That is truly what we are. Try and play around with that. How would you feel if you knew completely, that you are completely pure, completely innocent, completely loved, that you completely belong in the all that is, that you are completely powerful, completely beautiful, completely perfect, infinitely creative. Wow, that's who we really are. Compare that to you're sinful and you have to somehow work so hard to be redeemed by God. Also feeling like that will never happen, because somehow it's never good enough, is it? You're so worthless you don't deserve to exist, or you have to be a martyr, you have to suffer, you have to accept, you must bow down. All of this crap. Anyway, people, I'm going to call it a day there, but yeah, this is something I just had to talk about today, because it came to me very, very strongly in the night, and so now this is going to start to be purged and healed, and purged and healed, and alchemized. It has time, the time for this has arrived. The purge of all religious programming and all the damage and all the hurt that has done to all of us. Enough is enough is enough is enough.